Ode to Shroom, the Mushroom Makers. In a dark and silent forest, southwest from here I'm told, in the middle of a clearing stood a mushroom very bold. The forest creatures gathered round and trees bent down to hear. The mushroom talked in loudest tones. I hope you are quite clear. You will not have your fairy ring, I've told you this before. Too often you have broken it, and we can take no more. At this he glared at one and all, then twirled upon the ground. But once the earth had settled down, no mushroom could be found. The creatures gasped in horror. The wise owl shook his head. Our fairies need their fairy ring so magic can be spread. The oldest stag, a handsome chap, looked Owl in the eye. You know who I must find, Sir Owl? He nodded his reply. Stag thundered down the forest tracks, all scattered from his path, his mission near impossible, to soothe the mushroom's wrath. At last he reached the forest's edge. A van lounged by the track, with mushrooms purple, red and blue along her sides and back. They're resting now, she quietly drawled. This cannot wait, Stag cried, and rushing to the open doors, he stuck his head inside. The jungle made the window blinds with discs upon the walls. The quiet purples smelled at pinks, a peaceful birth for all. Two ladies fixed him with their eyes. Stag told his tale of woe. It's bad, he sighed, or I'd not seek the mushroom maker's door. The ladies donned their cloaks and hats, then filled their canvas bags. Their eyes met over gathered goods. They nodded to the stag. The van burst proudly into life. The ladies took their seats. They followed Stag at breakneck speed. Their bags were at their feet. They reached the clearing in a trice. All creatures hid from sight. The mushroom makers emptied bags and worked into the night. They made a net of finest hemp and pegged it to the ground. A circle of fine purple mist had gathered all around. Suddenly they stood and stretched. Their arms reached to the sky. Black storm clouds gathered in a whirl and thunder rumbled by. They grabbed the biggest, blackest cloud and leapt upon its back. It bucked and reared and roared with rage. They mastered its attack. They led a quietened cloud back down and tied it to the net, then led it back into the sky until the rope was stretched. The earth began to tremble, the cloud began to roll, and pulled a lid right off the earth to leave a large round hole. I thought I made myself quite clear, a voice blared from the hole. You madams are extremely rude. They had their chance, you know. One lady plucked the mushroom out, the other's eyes shone green, and lit upon a poor young fawn, who wept and shook in fear. I'm sorry, mushroom sir, she said. Forgive me, I implore. I trampled on your mushroom ring, and now it is no more. I'll forgive you, little fawn. The mushroom's eyes grew moist. You didn't mean it, that I'm sure. Now let us all rejoice. At this a fluttering filled the air, the purple mist rose high, and sparkling lights danced round the hole. The fairies had arrived. Now mushrooms climbed out from the hole, the lid was then replaced. The free cloud bucked and galloped off to join its friends in space. The mushroom makers tapped the earth and reared right at their feet. Young mushrooms grew to fill the gaps. The ring was now complete. Fine spirals of the purple mist had formed a regal chair, and in the twinkling of an eye, the fairy queen sat there. And as the fairy ball grew wild, the ring now standing proud, the mushroom makers waved to all and left the madding crowd. Where shall we find you? Shouted Stag. The van returned his stare. Nowhere until you have a need, she smiled. Then we'll be there.